All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is August 29th. We got ourselves a lovely Tuesday of sports betting to jump into today. We got a full MLB slate like we always do. We're gonna go through each and every game. I'm gonna give you my lean or leans on the games, but all of my final plays, so what I'm ultimately gonna be rolling with myself, those will be in the pinned comment, so make sure to keep an eye on that pinned comment. If you do want to fade me, you can fade all of my plays in the pinned comment. We're coming off of an night. We go 2-2. The Phillies come through on the money line, and then Gabriel Arias hits a million hits. He covered this with ease. First at bat, I believe here. That cashes for us, so we'll take a nice little cha-ching there. But the Nationals, Blue Jays, we lose on the hook. They finished 6-3 at 9, and then the Reds could not get it done. So a 2-2 night, not gonna kill us. We're not writing home to mom and dad saying, "Hey, look what we did last night, Ma, I made it." All right, so we will be better tonight, hopefully. But in terms of our ride of the day, we did hit here. We had Davey Navy coming in with the Yankees and the Detroit game on the under. He said he has to see these bats actually do something before he trusts them, and they didn't do that. 4-1, very late, before I think it was like, maybe 0-0 going into the fifth or fourth, something like that. But 4-1 is the final. Tigers take the win. So shout out to Davey Navy there for the cash of the ride of the day. We love to see that. If you guys do want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me your favorite pick of the day, and I'm jumping on board with one person's play in the comments, and you guys get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you're like Davey and you cash, we end up celebrating. We might get the cheers, the cha-ching, or both. If you lose, you got to face the womp womp, so enter at your own risk, but just use hashtag ride of the day in the comments if you do want to enter. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button as well. Game number one that we're jumping into here is going to be exactly what we just talked about, Detroit taking on the Yankees. So yesterday we leaned towards the under, we leaned towards Detroit. I was this close to pulling Detroit money line in terms of a final play. Just couldn't get myself to do it there. Would have been nice had I done it, but nonetheless, new day today on the mound for Detroit is going to be Tyreek Skubal, and going up against Michael King for the Yankees here. Michael King, obviously only 2 starts on the season. He's only pitching, 2 innings and then 2 2/3. Skubal has been pretty decent this season. Got a 2.6 ERA over his last 5. Very inconsistent. He's going like 6 innings pitched, 5 1/3 to 6 innings pitched, right? Letting up 4 runs, letting up 0 runs, letting up 4 runs, letting up 1 run, letting up 4 runs. Who knows what he'll do today. In terms of what King has done, though, so far, again, in only 2 starts on the year, he's only pitching 2 innings, so I'm not really concerned with his starting, but I do like the Yankees bats in today's spot. So yesterday, obviously, we faded them. This Yankees offense has struggled, but what they haven't struggled against is lefties here. So in the last 30 for them, they're second in average, 5th in on-base percentage, and 2nd in WOBA. And even more recently, still looking pretty good in their last 10 here against lefties. 7.4 runs per 9, 274 average, with a 328 on-base percentage. So I don't hate to see that, guys. I do think that is sort of an outlier. They bat lefties way better than they do righties, certainly as of late. On the season, it's more 50-50, but as of right now, definitely batting lefties. And in the last month or so, batting lefties better than they do righties. Whereas the Tigers offense still, I feel like, is going to struggle. They're giving you sort of 4 runs right now, which I don't think is going to be enough today for the Yankees. I think the Yankees are going to go out there and score a decent amount of runs. So as crazy as it may be, I'm looking at the Yankees here in this spot on the money line. Right now, the odds are plus 105 over on Caesars. We'll see where that line goes throughout the day. This is probably, if I had to give it a confidence level, 67% confidence level in terms of if I want this to be a final play or not. I do think the Yankees are going to score runs. I think the Detroit Tigers may give you their, 4, which I guess I said 4, but maybe I would say around 3 right now as of late, meaning that this 8.5 is in question. So I also take a peek at the over, but that's kind of crazy to be saying right now. You know what I mean? Like, this is a team, a Yankees team that has struggled to get over this mark in a while. The Tigers have done it plenty, but it's really been the other teams they've been playing scoring a lot of runs against them. So we'll take a peek at the over. I don't know if we make it a final play. If anything were to come into this game, it's probably going to be Yankees on the money line for plus money. All right, Miami taking on Tampa Bay here. Miami actually favored at home. Right now, the odds that you're looking at is going to be Miami minus 115. That's over on BetMGM. You can get the Rays for even odds over on Caesars, which I like the Rays in this spot, but it kind of smells like a trap. The Rays in their last 10 here, 8-2. They haven't played the hardest of competition, but nonetheless, 8 of their last 10. Miami has lost 7 of their last 10. And in the matchup between these two, dating back to 2 years ago, the Rays have won 8 of the last 10. They have Aaron Savale on the mound, who has been fairly good. 1.6 ERA over his last 5 starts here. The Rays in his last 4 starts for them is only 4 starts for them. They are 3-1. In terms of what he's got going on since he's been a Ray, 2.59 ERA with a 1.1 whip, going up against Sandy Alcantara, who has been better as of late. Don't get me wrong. The Cy Young talent has been better as of late, but still the numbers just aren't necessarily there from 3.32 ERA with a 1.15 whip in his last 3 here. In his last 5, 2.4 ERA. He is pitching deep into games, which you can give him credit for, but Savale is right there too. I don't necessarily look at Savale and say, wow, he's a chump going up against Sandy Alcantara. I like Aaron Savale. I've said that on the channel before. And then you look at the offense here. The Rays, 292 against righties in their last 10 games, averaging 7.6 runs per 9, 7 hits here with an on-base percentage of 3.61, whereas the Miami offense has struggled. 235 average in the last 10, 3.9 runs per 9, only 5 hits here with a sub 300 on-base percentage. I don't really see where this sort of value in terms of Miami being home is coming from. Maybe I'm missing something here, guys. It's super early in the morning. I'm wiping the crusties out of my eyes. Maybe I'm missing something. It could be a trap, but I like the Rays for plus 100 odds right now in their last 32. If the last 10 is too small of a sample size, because we know that the Rays have gone through some ruts this season, and they're honestly not even they're not out of the woods yet. But they are the best team right now in the last 30 against righties when it comes to average, and the 4th best for both on base percentage and WOBA. So I think that is worth considering here. In terms of what Alcantara has done to the Rays in the past, he did face them earlier in the season. I just want to give you the context, because even though I like the Rays here, we got to keep it transparent, right? Alcantara did kind of roll against them. 9 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, only 1 base on ball. So maybe that's where the justification of this line is coming from, but nonetheless, I do like the Rays in this one. The total is sitting at 7.5. I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a really high scoring game, but I could see it getting to 8. So I'm also going to lean slightly, ever so slightly, towards the over in this spot. All right, guys, before we continue on with the slate, I do want to talk to you guys about Outlier. Probably my favorite tool when it comes to player prop research. You can look at player trends. Green is good, red is bad. We can even jump in and just show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is Outlier's player prop screen. Very cool. Obviously a lot of juicy odds here, so we can make this something more digestible, like minus 115. We can start to see how players have trended in their last 5, last 10, last 20, head-to-head against the team that they're playing this year and last year. And we look for green boxes. Again, that's how you identify it. Aaron Judge, under 0.5 singles, a lot of green boxes. Seiya Suzuki, let's dive into it. Over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You can click in. You can see what sportsbooks are offering right now. Only DraftKings offering this right now for plus 100. The dude's hit this in 9 of his last 10. He's hit in 14 of his last 20. Going up against a left-handed pitcher or right-handed pitcher today. You can see Suzuki right here, 267. When he goes against the righty, batting 268, slightly better. You can even break down what this pitcher has going on. Corbin Burns, cutter, curveball, changeup as his 3 main pitches, and dissect it from that standpoint. It is a very cool app, guys. I'd suggest it to anybody if you are interested in player prop research trends. They also do have plenty of game pick research out there, but I think they specialize when it comes to player prop research. Again, green is good, red is bad. It's as simple as that. If you can understand that, you can start betting on sports smarter today with Outlier. You can use the link in the description. I'll also throw it in the pinned comment for a 7-day free trial. Why wouldn't you even sign up for 7 days? This by far is a research tool that I would recommend to every single person. I could walk down the street and see an 83-year-old grandmother and say, hey, you should use Outlier because I think you'd get value out of it. It's that easy, that intuitive, but also has that much information jam-packed into it. So make sure to check out Outlier, guys. You can use the link in the description or the pinned comment again for 7 days free. Why wouldn't you just try it for free? Kind of a no-brainer, guys. Make sure to go check out Outlier. Now let's get back to the slate. All right, Philadelphia taking on the Angels here. Yesterday's game results in a Phillies win 6-4. That was something that we cashed last night here. The Phillies playing good baseball. They've won 7 of their last 3 games here. The Angels are definitely struggling. The Angels trotting out Tyler Anderson today. He's got 3.8 ERA over his last 5 games here. Philadelphia trotting out Michael Lorenzen, who 4 starts into this Philadelphia tenure. Not looking all that bad. Hasn't looked great. Kind of inconsistent. The team is 2-2 when he does get the start. In terms of what we're looking at from an offensive perspective, though, the Phillies are blowing this Angels team away. Phillies versus lefties in their last 10, 307 average and near 400 on base percentage. Looking at comparing that to the Angels is just crazy. 215 average versus righties with a 288 on base percentage. And if you even want to look into it a little bit further here, this Phillies top 10 across the board against lefties in their last 30 when it comes to average, on base percentage, and WOBA, whereas the Angels team just absolutely struggling. Bottom 5 when it comes to average against righties over the last 30, the worst team in the league when it comes to on base percentage against righties, and then WOBA 28th in the league, so the 3rd worst there too. Not necessarily what you like to see, because I do think, quite honestly, even though Anderson hasn't looked all that good, I'm not really trusting the consistency out of Lorenzen either. So I think that this pitching matchup is fairly similar, but this Phillies team just is way better offensively right now. So give me the Phillies on the money line. -170, you're looking at some juice to be had there. It is something that probably could turn us off from the game altogether, but I don't mind the Phillies over 4.5 runs either. The Phillies have been hitting that left and right here. They've had at least 4 runs in 8 of their last 10 games, and they've had over that, and I believe it was either 7 or 6 of their last 10 here. So give me the Phillies over 4.5 as well for decent odds, but we'll see what we end up rolling with in this game. Like I said, I think the pitching, both these pitchers can be inconsistent. Both these pitchers I'm not really writing home about, which I think the second time I've used that analogy in this video. But I don't think that these offenses are really on the same playing field here. So I do like the Phillies, but I just wish they weren't -170. Like, we got them at what, -135 yesterday, something like that. Way better. But nonetheless, guys, keep an eye on the pin comment to see what we end up pulling the trigger on. Like I said, my main 2 leans in this game: money line for the Phillies as well as their team total over. That is probably my total play in the game. I don't really want to consider the total altogether because I think the Phillies are going to be carrying the weight here. All right, Baltimore taking on the White Sox. Didn't put too much time into this because it's going to be Baltimore or nothing for me. The odds there aren't really all that great at -230. Obviously, Baltimore 9-0 win yesterday. They have the better team right now. They have the better pitcher on the mound, Dean Kramer, going up against Jesse Scholten. So I'm going to lean towards Baltimore, but it would be in some sort of a parlay or something like that. The total's sitting at 9 runs as well. I got to trust, I'd have to be able to trust that the White Sox are going to kind of snap back to what they were doing, which is scoring a lot of runs, because Baltimore sure as hell has put in some work in the offense as of late. So maybe I lean towards the over 9, but again, this game is one where just Baltimore is the heavy favorite. Chicago doesn't really even compare from an offensive or pitching perspective today, so I kind of grazed over and said, all right, well, Baltimore's going to win this. I don't think there's that much value in the game, but if I'm missing something here, if you guys do like the White Sox and you are a psycho, after the alarm, go ahead and drop that in the comments. But like I said, guys, kind of grazed past this game because I think we see how it's going, at least from a research and analytics perspective. All right, next up, we have Toronto taking on Washington here. Toronto wins 6-3 yesterday. This is obviously the one that we had under 8.5. They finished with 9. Today, the total is down to 8. I know that this says 8.5, but it has since been updated. A lot of sportsbooks rocking with 8 as of right now. Still a couple out there with 8.5. I don't really love the total either way here. We saw how close this could get with 2 better pitchers on the mound too, right? Gray only going, I think he pitched like 1 2/3 or something yesterday, but nonetheless, today on the mound, you do have Mackenzie Gore going for Washington. He's got a 2.6 ERA over his last 5. He's been fairly inconsistent. Going up against Jose Barrios, who, honestly, it's Jose inconsistent as of late. He had 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs against Baltimore in his last outing, which was just about a week ago. But where I like this and where I find the value in this game is taking a peek at Toronto over 4 runs. I think that is going to be my spot and main lean in this game. They're 7th in average in the last 30 against left-handed pitchers. Mackenzie Gore is a lefty, 9th in on-base percentage, and 8th in WOBA. And from a last 10 perspective here, 282 average here, averaging almost 6 runs per 9 with a 320 on base percentage. And like I said, I just don't necessarily trust either one of these pitchers, but I can trust, at least to some degree, what this Toronto offense has been doing as of late. Now, they've had their struggles, no kidding, but their last 3 games here, 8 runs scored, 7 runs scored, and 6 runs scored. Even if they follow that trend of 1 less run each game, they'd still finish with 5 runs and cash for us here. Not saying that's exactly going to happen, but nonetheless, it could. In terms of the bullpen, too, this last 3 here for the bullpen of the Washington Nationals, 7.31 ERA with a 1.712. Now, I don't think that the Toronto bullpen has been any better at 7.12 with a 1.19 whip here, but we're not looking at either side of this. We're just looking at Toronto being able to score at least 4 runs with even some push potential there, because if the Nationals go out there and have a Nationals-like game, in fact, we got like a handful of comments yesterday being like, you know, the Nationals are on fire. Why are you ragging on them? I was like, no, I didn't say the Nationals stink. I just said I don't believe this win streak that the Nationals are on. Like, look at the teams they had to play. The Phillies were the only one with some sort of weight that I bought into, right? And look what happened yesterday. A Toronto team this Toronto team hasn't necessarily been godlike, right? They had lost 4 of their last 5 beforehand. They go out there and have their way with Washington yesterday. So you don't ever want to jump on the train too early in baseball. Baseball is all about getting on the train at the right time for a team and getting off before the train runs out of track. Like, that's literally what baseball is: progression and regression. So I do think that this Toronto team, you know, they are starting to heat up from the offensive standpoint, but I don't necessarily love the pitching. I don't love the spot here, but if Washington were to bounce back, like I was saying, and score 1,000,000 runs in this one, as long as Toronto gives us 4 or 5, we're looking good there, okay? So I lean towards Toronto in terms of their team total. Is probably my only play in this game. All right, next up, we have the Red Sox taking on the Astros. This one was back and forth last night. The Astros ultimately win 13-5. On the mound for the Red Sox today is going to be Brian Bayo. The team is 4-1 in his last 5 starts here, going up against JP France, who was looking good and then faced off against the Red Sox just a week ago and got absolutely mollywopped. 2 in the 3rd pitched, 11 hits, 10 runs, just 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs let up, averaged 35 pitches per inning. I think that performance warrants a womp womp there. I do think that is probably the overarching, I guess, the thing that puts this over the edge to me, because I don't think that this is a fadeable Astros team just as of right now, the way that they've been playing. Yes, they had a couple rough games where they lost to the Red Sox. That's because the Red Sox do play them tight, but they've had a pretty good run of it as of late. But I just cannot look past JP France absolutely stinking last time out. So I'm going to take the Red Sox in this one here in terms of a money line lean. I wish that they were underdogs after getting spanked last night 13-5, but you know, minus 120ish, we don't really hate that there. And Brian Bayo, like I said, has been pitching well. He's got 3 games in his last 5 here in which he pitched 6+ innings and only allowed 1 run. So I think that is obviously a good little stat to take home there. Then in terms of how they're batting offensively, this Houston offense, like I just said, they're not really fadeable right now, but in the last 10 here, Red Sox actually outperforming them when it comes to facing off against righties. 6.5 runs per 9, 304 average with a 10.5 hit rate there as well, nearly 400 on base percentage. Now I will say this, obviously, when you're looking at the Red Sox in their last 10, that game against JP France is included. So there's a little bit of an outlier as to why they outrank the Astros there. But regardless of that context, I do still think that this could be a Red Sox spot at home, bounce back spot with Brian Bayo, who's been pitching fairly well on the mound today, going up against a pitcher that was looking good, but the wheels fell the hell off for him. Again, 10 earned runs through 2 1/3 is not something you see every day. And then in terms of the total here, we are sitting at 10. It's way up to 10. Yesterday, I think it came in at, might have closed at 10, was 9.5 at one point. It's a little too high for me. I know that these two teams are so volatile, almost in a good way, that they're scoring a bunch of runs, you know, left and right. Like this Houston team, ready, in their last 3, 9, 17, and 13. That's absolutely bonkers. The Red Sox, you know, they've had that 17-run game. They've scored 8, 4, and 5 in their last few. But I'm actually going to think the opposite here today. I'm going to kind of fade myself and probably fade what everybody is thinking. I'm going to look at the under 10. I think this one stays a little bit closer and a little bit lower of a score than we think. Like the Red Sox have hit 10 straight overs. Do we really think that that continues here? To this line, they've only hit over 8 out of their last 10. But in terms of what their lines are, they've hit 10 straight overs. The Houston Astros have hit 9 of their last 10 overs. So at some point, those have to just come back down to reality, right? That's kind of what we're hoping for today. Remember, early on the train, or not too early on the train, but make sure you're early getting off of the train. All right, guys, if you consider yourself someone that throws out winners on a daily basis, it's time to pick up some Fade Me merch. I'm sure you're always telling your friends, your buddies, or even people in the comment section of YouTube, here's my pick, here's my pick, here's my pick. And people end up being like, no, that's a stupid pick, you stink, blah, blah, blah. All you have to do is say, okay, then fade me. And then you can wear the shirt the next day right in front of them and say, hey, remember, you decided to fade me, guys. Give them a little reminder. Check out the Fade Me shop, fademe.store. If you do want to support the channel, support what we're doing here, make sure to check it out. $25 t-shirts. The quality is way better than that. I can assure you that, guys. So make sure to go check it out. We got tons of designs over there and more incoming as the weeks progress as well. Really working on some fall drops too. So make sure to check out Fade Me. Again, fademe.store. You can use the link in the description. You can use the promo code. It's still live from yesterday. 20FADE. So 20 FADE for 20% off your order. That promo is going to run out today. So if you consider yourself someone watching every single day, supporting what we're doing, loving the interaction, loving the community, it's time to cop some Fade Me merch. Trust me, guys, you will not be disappointed. And then the second thing I want to plug is make sure you guys are following me over on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at EvGuyBoston, following people back as of late too. So if you want one more follower, just go follow me on Twitter. We're posting a lot of daily fantasy pick'em type formats, prize pick, sleeper, those type of things over on Twitter. We hit a 4 for 5 prize picks last night, which is a nice little double up. And we're posting a lot of player prop content on my Twitter. So it's actually right here, right now. Go follow me on Twitter, guys. I'm throwing follows back. Why don't you tweet me your favorite play or something so I know you saw it from the video, and then I will follow you back. Let's get back to the slate here. We have the New York Mets taking on the Texas Rangers. Rangers pull it out yesterday. They win 4-3. Now, this is still a Rangers team that has struggled, but they've won 2 of their last 3. And I think that's fairly important here because it's kind of what I've talked about multiple times in this video, making sure that you are spotting that progression and regression in a team. I think this Texas team is about to start picking things up again in their last 10 with these 2 wins included, right? If you bet $100 on every game on their money line, you'd be down $641. So if 100's your unit, you'd be down 6.4 units on the Texas Rangers alone. That is how bad they have been. They have Andrew Heaney on the mound today. He's got a 1.4 ERA over his last 5 here. When you look at it from his last 3, it actually kind of skyrockets because he has 2 0-earned run games within that last 5. So if we do look at it from his last 3, he's got a 6.75 ERA with a 2.25 whip. But I think everything changes today. I do like the spot. Heaney's had some good luck against the Mets in the past. Now, we're not looking at anything recent, so I don't want to put too much weight into that. But last year, when he was on the Dodgers, he pitched 5 innings, only 2 earned runs with 8 strikeouts, no walks. So good to see that. Going up against Jose Quintana, who has been a guy that we faded a couple times this season. He's also cashed for us, but I don't really trust him all that much. And the Mets have struggled against lefties. 230 in their last 10 here when it comes to average, and only averaging 2.6 hits per game here against lefties as well. So give me the Texas Rangers in this spot. Again, I think they're slowly starting to climb back in to somewhat of a consideration for a powerhouse team like they were just, what, a month ago, maybe even less. So give me the Rangers here. In terms of the total, it's sitting at 8.5. Yesterday we saw, 3-4 or 4-3, however you want to call it. Texas has been putting up some decent runs. They are 5. They've hit the over in 5 of their last 10, which isn't really, compelling to me, but I do think that their offense is starting to heat up just a little bit again. So I'm going to lean towards the over 8.5 ever so slightly. All right, Minnesota taking on Cleveland. I like the Twins in this spot with Pablo Lopez, who has been pitching very well as of late. He had a struggling start against Texas. Funny enough, we just talked about them in his last start, but before that, the dude was cruising. It was tough to find a pitcher pitching better than him as of late, but still pitching well here, and I like the spot against Cleveland today. The only issue is going to be that juice that you do have to pay, so I don't even hate it if someone is on the Cleveland side of things today because, there is some value in that plus 160 number when it comes to Cleveland. They're not a terrible team. I'm not sitting here saying they're good, but we've seen them beat some good teams as of late. They took 2 of 3 against Toronto, but I do think this is a Minnesota spot. The offense has been better. They've won 4 of their last 5 games here. Like I said, the offense has been better, and the pitching is better for them today, but that minus 175 price tag may be out of my price range. In terms of a total, we're looking at 8 runs here. We saw 10-6 yesterday. I might pass on this total, but I was looking at the over for a little bit, but I don't think I can justify it with Pablo Lopez on the hump. I know he had a bad start last game, but I'm going to need to see more than one bad start from him as of late to start fading him and think he's going to let up a bunch of runs. So had it not been Pablo Lopez, I don't know if this helps you guys in your analysis or research for today, but had it not been Pablo Lopez on the mound, I probably would have looked at this over 8 all day long, okay? But that pitcher is swaying me and possibly keeping me off it. So Minnesota or nothing for me, probably, but that minus 175, a little too much cha-ching to be paying, if you ask me. Before we move on to the next game, guys, drop a 25 in the comments if you are watching right now and made it past that 25-minute mark. That is how I suss out the real ones from the guppies, the haters, guys, the ones that just skip through the video to see what I say versus the people that actually watch, stick it through, and interact with the community. One of the best communities on the YouTube betting scene right now, I will say, guys. You guys have been absolutely awesome. And we did get a comment a couple days ago, and I thought it was an amazing idea, really good idea. It's like, all right, we call the haters the guppies. What do we call, the supporters or the fans or the people that are actually, positive towards the community? We don't necessarily have like a true name for that. We do have the members on the channel, which are like the ultimate supporters, $2.99 a month, right? Those are the ballers. But what do we call the fans? What do you guys want to be called as an audience? Let me know in the comment with that 25 as well, or just comment 25, whatever you feel comfortable doing. All right, we have St. Louis taking on San Diego in this spot here. Yesterday's games finished with a 4-1 win for San Diego here. On the mound for San Diego is going to be Seth Lugo going up against Zach Thompson in this one. Right now, you have decent odds for either side that you want to look at. St. Louis plus 120, San Diego minus 142. But I think what I'm looking at here is going to be the San Diego Padres because Seth Lugo has been pitching very well as of late. I don't think that I'm backing their offense, so don't get me wrong. I'm more or less backing the pitcher in this spot because their offense has been very, very tough, which is why I also am going to lean towards the under 9 in this spot. But Seth Lugo has been good. Last 2 starts here, he's pitched 6 innings, let up 0 earned runs in both of those, only 4 combined walks there. And then St. Louis just has not really been batting well against righties on the season or even in the last 10 here. 3.2 runs per 9 in the last 10, 217 average with a 4.8 hits mark there and 288 on base percentage, so sub 300. Now, why I say this in terms of, well, I'm not backing the offense of San Diego because they've actually struggled even more against lefties than the St. Louis, I almost said the St. Louis Padres, the St. Louis Cardinals have against righties as of late. So in their last 10 here, the Padres, 3.9 runs per game, 193, not a 1.93 average, that'd be good. 193 average here, so batting below 200, only 1.6 hits with a 292 OBP. So it is a little worrisome to back a team that has been struggling that much offensively, but I do think Seth Lugo can get the job done today here. Though it way in the past when he was back with, I think it was the Mets, right? He did have a couple starts against this Cardinals team and absolutely torched them. So like I said, that was like literally like 5 years ago, so not worth putting that much weight into. But I like the under 9 as well. I do think that this could be a spot in which we see this one stay within the single digit realm, just like yesterday's game, 4-1. So I like both those, the under as well as the Padres. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we ultimately end up rolling with, but you can get even odds for under 9 right now over on BetMGM. So plus 100, some serious value for 2 teams that have struggled offensively. All right, real quick, I would be remiss if I did not talk to you guys about OddsJam in today's video. I did a little walkthrough in yesterday's video. You can get 25% off your first month if you do sign up using the link in the description or the pinned comment. You can use code GUYBOSTON as well. But OddsJam is an incredible tool, guys, for comparing sportsbooks odds, making sure you're getting the right price. Why would you ever want to pay $20K for a car if you could be paying $15 at a different dealership, right? That is what OddsJam does. It finds plus EV bets, finds the best odds out there. You can compare multiple sportsbooks against one another. They even have a really cool feature that allows you to find plays in which you win no matter what the outcome of the game is. I have a video coming out. I think it's scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern time today, kind of walking through that. You may know what it is. It's called arbitrage betting, but I do have a video coming out later today, so make sure to check it out. I pretty much put on display how the OddsJam tool can make you a profitable sports bettor. And you guys know I'm all for having these resources resources, having these tools in your arsenal to make you guys better sports bettors. Yes, some of them you have to pay for, but that is the point. They're that good that I'm able to promote with a straight face on this show, on this channel every single day, the effect and how good they are, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I never would. The amount of sponsorships and brand deals that I decline, I get on a call and I go, you smell like a sus type of, what are we talking about here? This is not a good deal. Like, you know, it's you're just a money grab. These platforms that I'm preaching and talking about are just not money grabs. I use them myself, and that's the only thing I'll promote on the channel. OddsJam being one of them, guys. Make sure to go check it out. Again, you can compare sportsbooks odds. You can go plus EV betting. They have optimizers on there. They find picks for you. Really, really cool. They got a million different lanes you can go down no matter what your betting preference is. Again, parlays, single betting, fantasy sports, DFS, pick'ems, plus EV betting. They have a tool for you. I can promise you that. Make sure to go to check out. Again, that link is in the description or the pinned comment. I really do think that this is such a powerful tool, and when you combine the tools that I work with, right, and the brands that I work with, it's almost hard to be a bad sports bettor. And again, yes, some of them are paid for tools, but you gotta pay for you know, the great tools out there if you do want to kind of lessen the workload, and that's what OddsJam does. So make sure to go check it out, guys. 25% off your first month with the code GUYBOSTON. Now let's return to the slate. Only got a few more games in today's video. All right, we got Chicago taking on Milwaukee here. The odds are updated. I know we don't have a total there. The total's sitting at 7 right now, which is super low, but it's kind of understandable. You have Corbin Burns on the mound for Milwaukee, and then you have Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs. This Milwaukee team, we'll start with them. They've won 9 straight games, and they're plus 118 underdogs today. But the Cubs also playing good baseball. The Cubs lose yesterday. The Milwaukee wins 6-2. I don't think I can fade Milwaukee as of right now. Now, I'm not telling you that I'm throwing this in as a final play, but you're getting a team with a better record on the season, a good pitcher trotting out there, right, for plus 118 odds, and they've won 9 straight, including yesterday's game. I don't think that I can kind of turn my head to that. Also, Milwaukee, in their last 10 against the Cubs, have won 7 of those games. So it's like, how can you pass that up, right? Would the Cubs winning today surprise me? No. And this is where people get mad in the comments. You're supposed to make a choice. Yes, my lean is towards Milwaukee, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, they're going to win this game. I'm never going to bullshit you guys, right? I'm going to keep it transparent. If you're on the Cubs today, I see why. Justin Steele has been pitching well, but the counter that I would say is they're not going to find many teams batting lefties better than Milwaukee right now, averaging almost 9 runs per game, almost a 400 average here with a 435 on base percentage. Justin Steele, Justin Schmiel, right? Like, the Milwaukee Brewers are batting really, really well against lefties as of right now. And you can even get them at minus 190, which if you want to pay that juice, for plus 1.5, because I think either way, this is going to remain a close game. We have a total of 7. Like, what does Vegas envision happening? A 6-1 game or a 5-2 game? I don't think so, right? So I do think that there is some value in considering Milwaukee on the run line as well. That juice is going to be way out of my wheelhouse. But some people like paying the juice, right? And think the juice is worth the squeeze. But main lean in this one is going to be plus 118 here for Milwaukee. And then in terms of the total, 7 runs, I know I like both these pitchers. Both these pitchers are good, but 7 runs is pretty low. 7 runs is pretty low for 2 teams that have been playing good baseball and on any given night scoring a decent amount of runs. Give me the over in this one as well. All right, Kansas City taking on Pittsburgh. We don't have lines or odds up for this game, and honestly, I'm not that upset about it. This is a game that I kind of just chalked up yesterday as a no-go. Kansas City ends up winning 5-0, but for what it's worth, Cole Ragans on the mound for Kansas City. He's actually been pitching well. I want to give credit there where it is due, but we don't know who's pitching for Pittsburgh yet. So like I said, we don't have odds, we don't have a total, but I probably wasn't doing anything in this game in terms of final plays anyways. All right, Colorado taking on Atlanta here. Same thing as yesterday. I said my only lean in this game, and I usually like to fade, you know, the overs, so go with the under when it comes to Colorado playing at home. But this Atlanta team, I told you yesterday, they could score 1,000,000 runs. They could score 1,000,000 runs normally. You put them in altitude here, they could score a completely different number of runs, which they did yesterday, 14 runs. It's going to be the same thing that I'm looking at today. In terms of the team total, I could kind of get behind that, but you're going to have to go all the way up into, I think it's 7.5 in terms of a team total to get some good return on your investment. So minus 133 for over 7 right now. Over on Caesars is your best bet for the team total for the Braves. That's crazy. 7.5, asking for 8 runs to cash a good over for a good ROI is absolutely crazy, but I don't hate the over altogether here because 12 runs, even if Atlanta goes out there and scores 6 runs, hopefully Colorado can go out there and put up 4, and then we're cooking with gas here. Just need a couple more runs throughout the game, but probably not going to really kind of invest into this game altogether because, again, you're asking for a lot of runs. That shows you how many runs, Vegas thinks of this 12, Atlanta's going to make up. 8? That is asking for a whole hell of a lot, guys. So I lean towards the over in this game. It's going to be the only thing I do, but because it's such a high number, I might fade it just like yesterday. But still, a lean is a lean, and that is probably the only thing that I would play if I were to bet on this game. Another game in which I wanted to pull the trigger on, we had Seattle on the run line yesterday. We didn't have final odds out, which kind of hindered us here, but I like Seattle on the run line against the Oakland A's today. Kirby on the mound for them here. They've won 3 of their last 5 games that he has started. He's been a little rocky as of late. Played Kansas City 2 starts ago, let up 4 earned runs, I believe it was, or 5 earned runs, one of the 2, through 6 innings, and then against the Chicago White Sox in his last start, 5 2/3 pitched, 9 strikeouts, but 3 earned runs. They get the win in one of those games. I think it might have been the Kansas City game, to be honest. Don't have that in the written notes above in front of me, but nonetheless, I do think that this is a spot for the Seattle to kind of keep doing what they're doing here. So on the run line, they've covered that when they are favorites in 7 of their last 10. Now they're starting, I shouldn't say starting to cool down, but they've played, they swept Kansas City, big whoop. Now they're playing the Oakland A's. They are on a tear, but keep an eye out for when Seattle starts to slow down just ever so slightly. All about the theme of today's show is that sort of regression and that type of thing. But, I don't necessarily envision them continuing this and sustaining this. I like the Seattle team. You go back to a month ago's video, I said, watch out for this team, late playoff push, blah, 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 right? They have really good pitching, but I don't necessarily expect them to continue this 7-0 tear over the A's. I could see them winning this game though, 5-2, 6-4, winning it by 3 or 2 runs. So still sticking with it here. In fact, in their head-to-head here, they have absolutely just dominated Oakland. They've won 9 of their last 10 here, and plenty of those. I think of those 9 wins, maybe 6 or 7 of them have been by the run line. So fading the A's here, backing George Kirby and Seattle, but I do want a PSA here. Keep an eye on the Seattle team. I don't think that they're going to be this good for this long. They're going to be a good team, and I like this team. But, going on these win streaks, winning 9 of your last 10, I don't think they conclude the season like that. In terms of a total, we're looking at 8. I saw 7.5 on some sportsbooks. Maybe we end up seeing that as the more round number or the more common number here. I can't really back it. I don't know what you're going to get out of the Oakland Athletics. They've hit the over in 6 of their 6 of their last 10 games, so only hitting the under 4 times. But it's because the other teams are scoring a bunch of runs. So I'm probably just fading away this total altogether. All right, Giants taking on the Reds. We were on the Reds yesterday, and they lose 4-1 here. Abbott didn't really do his job. You're getting the Giants right now for right around -160, and I like that spot for them. They have Alex Cobb on the mound going up against Brandon Williamson. Cobb has struggled. There's no 2 ways around it. He has not looked that great. But this Reds team really struggling against left-handed pitchers, against right-handed pitchers in their last 10 here. 211 average with a 278 on-base percentage, whereas the Giants here batting really well for average against lefties in their last 10 at 282. So give me the Giants on the money line. Total sitting at 8 runs. I don't think that we see Cincinnati's Reds team that goes out there and scores 2-1 runs again. I think they're going to put up at least 3 or 4 runs in this spot. So hopefully the Giants can continue doing what they've done in their last 3 games or so, give us kind of a floor of 4 or 5 runs. So I'm looking at the over in this spot as well. Right now it is at 8. It started out at 8.5, so I think a lot of people are taking that under, and Vegas is moving it down. So we'll fade the public there, guys. I'm looking at the over. All right, Dodgers taking on Arizona here. Dodgers win yesterday 7-4. Good game, obviously, here. Today we have Merrill Kelly on the mound for Arizona. He actually hasn't been all that bad. We have Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers, who has been really good. The team is 5-0 in his last 5 starts here. Obviously, only 3 of those being post coming back here, but he's got a 0.6 ERA in his last 5. And I think a lot of people are going to be on the Dodgers today. So I'm actually going to look at Arizona on the run line +1.5 to keep this game game potentially close here. Minus 115 over on BetMGM is going to be your best odds there. And actually, in terms of what you're looking at for odds, that kind of is a plus EV bet ever so slightly. You're looking at minus 125 across the industry. You can get 10 cents of value there at minus 115 over on MGM. And the total of this game is sitting at 8.5. And this game's going to go under as well. Even though we saw 7-4 yesterday, I think this game ends up going under, which kind of helps that plus 1.5, because obviously games that have less runs scored allow less chance of sort of a breakout sort of finish, right, for a team. So if we see an under 8.5 here, it definitely helps that plus 1.5. So I don't hate it if you guys are on the Dodgers. Too much juice at minus 200 for me to be paying today. And I definitely don't really like the Dodgers to win by 2 here. I think that this Arizona team, even though I did just catch an L against the Dodgers, still playing good baseball. So I kind of want to give credit where it is due there. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Let's run up the likes. If you're watching this right now, hit that subscribe button a million times as if it's gonna, you know, count up the subscribers as we go. Same thing with the like button, guys. Actually, don't hit the subscribe button multiple times, because it'll say how long you've been subscribed for. You want to keep that number high, right? You don't want to unsubscribe and then come back. But enough rambling from me. Long video today. I love being back at the normal routine, guys. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.